Hey, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk to you about victimhood mentality, what it is, and just the general, idea of how it can be harmful. Now, I want to first express to you that if you have this mentality, then it's okay. It's perfectly fine. I'm not looking down on you for it. It's probably something that we've all struggled with in the past. We've all dealt with it. Basically, what it is when you constantly view yourself as being a victim, as constantly being the victim, and as constantly being the victim in every scenario, and just identifying yourself as being a victim in general. Now, there's a couple reasons why this is harmful. One, it's harmful towards your relationships, because when we have this mentality, we often constantly think of ourselves as being in the right and the other person being in the wrong. And so when you actually are in the wrong, it's more likely that you'll just play the victim and try to do everything you can to convince yourself that you're right. Now, this is a really difficult thing to deal with when you have this mentality, because oftentimes because there's things that happen when people get into abusive relationships and stuff, and that's usually what causes the mentality to begin with. And it's hard to separate whether you're experiencing victimhood mentality from when you're actually being victimized. It's very difficult, because the brain is very good at convincing you that you're in the right even when you're in the wrong, or that you're just in the right in general. It's very good at finding logic behind every situation for what you do, because there usually is logic for what you do, but it's just has to be tempered with observance and really analyzing the situation and analyzing your inner thought process and understanding your own emotions. And another reason why this is harmful is because it often leads us to repeated cycles of being victimized over and over again. Because often when you have this mentality, you get in the thought process of somebody else needs to come and save you. You have to, you're just constantly longing for that savior to come and find you and pull you out of your struggle, pull you out of your suffering. But it's you that has to pull you out of your own suffering. Nobody else can do that for you. You're a warrior. You're an infinite being of loving light, loving and living light, and you can get through anything. And you can get through any suffering as long as you learn to love and accept yourself, and learn to process your emotions. It's only you who can save yourself. And now what this does, when you seek out somebody else to come and save you, what it does is it often leads to you finding people who also think that they're the only ones who can save you. And this is also a toxic mentality. And because they they will often be experiencing the victimhood mentality themselves, and they'll view themselves as always being in the right, and so it will lead to an abusive situation between you and them, because they'll start abusing you and treating you poorly, and then they'll never take accountability for it. I mean, this isn't always the case, but this is often what it leads to. This is often the type of person that having this sort of mentality leads to you attracting into your life. And just remember, it's important that we recognize that we've been victimized, that we recognize that we have trauma. Maybe you're even traumatized currently. Maybe you're experiencing things like PTSD or depression or anxiety, and that's perfectly fine. But it doesn't make you a permanent victim of your past. It's important to remember that we have trauma, but not to identify ourselves with our trauma, because our trauma isn't who we are. It doesn't make us who we are. Who we really are is our soul, the part of us that exists away from the trauma. And I lost my train of thought, so I'm gonna stay quiet for a second and just let it come back to me. Yeah, I usually get covered in dirt in the mornings because I need to play around in the ashes a lot in order to make a fire, in order to cook my food and make my coffee. So yeah, that's why I got dirt all over my face. But yeah, yeah, it's just important to remember that even though we have trauma, it's not who we are. It's not who we truly are inside. Who we are is the internal spirit that exists within us. And that goes beyond trauma. That goes beyond pain. That goes beyond anxiety and depression. And it's okay to experience all those things. But just remember, they aren't who you are. And remember, don't stress to also don't stress yourself out trying to avoid having this mentality. It's something, the process of becoming your true self and breaking out of these toxic cycles is something that has to happen slowly, oftentimes. Because if you try to push yourself too hard, it's just going to be counterproductive. So you just have to learn to observe it and accept it and love it as a part of yourself temporarily, until you can finally grow past it. It's something that has to just leave you naturally. And meditation can help. Just sitting and maybe closing your eyes, doing whatever you want, and just looking at whatever's inside of yourself, letting it flow, embracing it, hugging it, giving it love and acceptance, telling your internal self that everything's going to be all right and that you're loved, and just shining a light on yourself. That's what healing is about. And just remember it's not that you have to be healed, it's that you are healing itself. You are the embodiment of healing. And knowing that you can grow past any wound that you've endured, and any wound that you will endure in the future, if you do end up enduring more wounds. So yeah, I think that that's about it, everybody. I'm probably going to end the video now. See you later. Blessed be. Have a beautiful day. I love you all, and peace. See ya.